This podcast is hosted by individuals who happen to be members of a union. The statements and opinions expressed by the host and its participants do not necessarily reflect those of the union or unions they are members of.
Woo! Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. How you doing, sis?
Doing good. Nice to see you again, Louise.
You too. You too.
It's been a
Any?
minute.
I know, right? Any New Year's resolutions for you?
For me, no way. I don't do that stuff no more. I don't
Nice,
believe in it.
nice. Yeah, I grew out of that too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna start whenever I'm ready to start it, right? I don't
Yeah,
need it to be January 1st for me to start something I want to change in my life.
yeah, yeah. Take action. So glad everyone's back with us. I'm Luis with Local 6,
And I'm Tessie Perino from Local 332.
and we are the Rewire.
Oh, yes. We're back at it. Season
Back at it like
2.
a smack
Season
addict.
2.
Yeah. You imagine we went through a whole season already? That's crazy.
Yeah, like we did a lot in that first season too. We did a lot of episodes, so I was
For real.
surprised that we were able to keep it up that long and stay consistent. And
Yeah. So,
that break was nice though. That break
man, ain't it,
was
wasn't
nice.
it? Man,
I was like, can we
some
do it
good things
longer?
happened. Yeah, some good things happened during the break and some bad things. I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
that. So, why don't we just get into what we're going to talk about today? What's on the
Oh
menu,
yeah.
sis?
So since ooh.
Go ahead. You can talk over it.
No, I wanted to hear this. Okay. We're in a new year. 2024. So we're going to talk about some new California laws that come into effect this year, and especially ones that pertain to labor, to us. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Right. So, since we're getting into it, right? Let's talk about what's our first one, sis?
Let's see. Our first one. We are going to be talking about, looks like, paid sick leave. SB 616. Yes, so now we have this new law that comes into effect January 1st, and employers must increase the minimum paid sick leave provided to their full-time and part-time employees each year from 24 hours, which was 3 days, to 40 hours, which is 5 days. In addition, the new law will make certain provisions of statutory paid sick leave applicable to employees covered by a valid collective bargaining agreement, including the prohibition or retaliation for using paid sick leave.
Mm,
Now, how does that pertain to us?
exactly.
So right now, we when they first did the 3 days, we already established in our CBA, our collective bargaining agreement, that we would not be doing it. And instead, but what do we do now instead, Luis?
We put a monetary. We put like a number on it.
Yes. So we had to physically, in writing, not physically, in writing, put in our contract that we were not going to be doing the sick pay leave, and, accepting the days. Instead, what we're doing is, as Louis said, we're accepting the monetary value of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now that was for 3 days. They increased it to now 5 days. So what does that mean?
Exactly, man. That's what that means.
Yes, that's what that means. Now, we just had negotiations, but this law came into effect after negotiations. So it should be able to be brought up at our next negotiation, which is in 4 years, right?
That's
4
right.
years. So I'm curious to see what the inside wiremen do in my local because they have negotiations coming up. So I want to see what they do with this like this new law that came in place. How are they going to use it? Um, or,
Yeah.
utilize
I'll
it.
be a fly on the wall in my local because they signed a 4-year contract.
Mm.
So theirs is gonna be up right before ours will.
Oh, okay.
So, we'll see what hopefully,
Hmm.
I'll be able to see things what strategies they employ for that. Because I mean, that's straight up money right there. How much is that worth to us, right? How much
An
is it
extra
worth
two
to us,
days, right? An
right?
extra
I mean,
16 hours.
yeah, wanna break that down, at installer, what's that? Like, what's an 8-hour day at 53? It's 53, right?
Yeah,
Rounded
53.
down, 53. So, let's say let me see if my calculator
Bust out
works.
the calculator.
What's that?
Calculator.
Oh, my calculator's dead.
Oh,
I actually have one. So, I mean, let's say it's like 300 bucks, right? 300 bucks. Oh, not even more than that, right?
don't ask me to do math in my head because I can't.
Yeah, so say it's like a grand or something, man. That's a grand. How you gonna break that off into 40 hours, 50 bucks,
Yeah.
25 bucks a day. So,
Now, I mean, I wish we could have those actual sick day leave, sick days, because we have so many members that need to take time off when they are sick or if their kids are sick or whatnot. But I mean, I do understand too how difficult it can be when we work for a multi-employer
yeah,
and um, how to keep track of that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But I was curious. I mean, it was interesting to see how employers do handle the sick pay leave because they have like two options. They can either like give their their employee the full amount of sick days, like from the beginning. Like they didn't call it like not freeload, something like, but they load it on them. They load it on the beginning. Say, here's your 6 days. Go ahead and use it. Or they have them earn it through their the hours that they work. So for every like for the days that they work, for every day they receive an hour of sick leave. So they do either hourly or they just give it all to them at once.
Oh, so
And
like 5 hours for 5 days,
yeah,
that kinda
yeah,
stuff?
yes, yes. And then so I guess they have that option to do it either way.
Yeah.
So it's like once the worker works for a company for like 30 days, I think I saw it said, then they are that's when the sick paid leave can actually happen for them. You have to have work for the employer for at least 30 days.
Mm,
And that, I mean, a lot of us work for employers for more than 30 days, and I can see how we could have accrued hours that way. But again, it's not all of us. Not all of us stay with companies very long. Some of us just work, job to job.
yeah,
And so you just gotta, you gotta think about everybody. So
mhm.
the best way is to do it the way we're doing it, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, I remember in 2017 when they put that stipulation in there?
Mm-hmm.
They did it behind everyone's back and didn't really mention to nobody. Nobody knew about it, but it left a little bit of a caveat there for us in the end. It says that the employer recognizes that the union cannot unilaterally bargain away the statutory rights of its members without ratification. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll have to come in and, you know, they'll have to come in and ask us, is this all right? Basically, we're gonna have to vote on it, which is
Yep.
kind of messed up because why would, you know, hopefully the whole reason for this podcast is to inform us so we make informed decisions and not decisions that are suggested to us by management.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing about this 616. So we'll come away with what? What is this worth to us? Right? What is this worth to us? So let me see. Let me get my phone calculator out here. So how do we do this? We make 53 an hour, right? Let's say 53, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 5 day, right?
Yep. From 3 days,
If
so it's 2 days now extra. So
Yep. So we do 53, what, times 5 or something like that? Or divided by 5?
hold on.
That's
I,
1060 a
I,
day.
1060 a day. 'Cause
1060.
I had multiplied it by 16 hours because that's
Oh, 16 is a
if
2 weeks, right? So yeah.
yeah,
All right. So
which is 848.
yeah, it's 848. And then what? Divide that into
And
like
divide that by a full year. What? A full year?
52,
52 weeks?
52 weeks.
Yeah.
That's 16.30 a day.
Or
$16.30. I'm
is
sorry,
that a day or a week?
16.30 a week,
There we go.
right? You divide that by what? 5 days.
Mm-hmm. If you want
Five
to.
days.
But we
That's
get paid weekly, so I would do it by week only.
all right. So that's $16 a week,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 16.20 a week. 16.20 a week
That's 2 lunches right
times
there.
4. Yep. That's 64.80 a month, right?
Mhm. Mhm. That's good
64.80
money.
a month.
Good
Yeah.
money.
So it may look like small potatoes. It might sound like small potatoes to us right now, but
It all adds up,
it all
right?
adds up into years, into months,
Mhm.
into weeks, into
Mhm.
years, right? That's money we can be putting aside for
And we
all kind of debauchery.
and we have to make sure we get that, even though it's just 2 days, get that because they're gonna keep adding days to
Oh
that.
yeah,
It was 3, now it's gonna be 5. Who knows? Down the road, it's gonna be 10, 14. Who knows? So we gotta keep making sure we make that part of our negotiation, add that money to it. And when we negotiate, that's separate from the pay raise that we fight for. This kind of money is something that's conditional, right? It's the conditions.
yep,
It's part of the conditions. It's a
yep,
condition. We have to negotiate that separately from the actual wage increase that we
exactly.
feel we deserve. So
Yeah, and it I'll venture to say should go into every. It should have been in all the rest of them too. That's the past though, right? But it should,
mhm,
going forward, that should be something we think about in those meetings. Those meetings
mhm.
we're all together asking for stuff. What do they call that? District wides and all that?
Yeah, district-wide meetings, like
Yeah.
pre-negotiation meeting.
Our pre-neg meetings, they need to
Mhm.
be that just need to be factored into that. But, so yeah, that's SB 616. Sis, you got anything to add to
Yeah,
that?
I'm good. You good?
Alright. Yeah, I'm good. Beat
All
that
right.
beat that horse dead.
Let's go to the next one then.
So, the next one is SB 497. It prohibits employers from retaliating against workers who complain about their wages. Discuss wages with colleagues or inquire about another worker's wages, right? So,
Mhm,
this bad boy is basically so this is one of the things that we're going to have to take action on. I'm going to say that again. Uh we're going to have to take action on this because if we don't, we're just going to let the employers treat us like we're non-union employees. So I've
mhm,
had this incident happen already where I've had to explain to someone who's not a member of the union that it's not rude or unprofessional to discuss our wages in the field
mhm,
because we are union members. And
mhm,
unfortunately, I've had to explain this to an actual union member, a couple of union members. Like, what? It's none of your business. What you mean ain't none of my business? There's conditions attached to this pay.
mhm.
So yeah, if you bring your iPad from home and getting on, Pro Tools, what was this? What's it? The I forgot what that's called. The Procore, getting on Procore on your personal, um, it's gonna, that's not good. So,
So just real quick, Louise, I see
mhm.
that your screen is frozen on my end, so hopefully it's not on your end or
Well,
the view.
at least my audio comes
We
in.
can
You know
hear
what I
you.
mean?
We can hear you at least.
Yeah.
So, one thing wanted to mention on that too, which I had also on that screen here, is that what this bill does is it changes so that it's not like employer favored. This is now employee favored. So if the bill creates a rebutable presumption of retaliation in favor of the employee if an employer takes an adverse employment action against an employee within 90 days of that employee engaging in a certain protected conduct under this labor code section, which is 98.6 or 197.5. So it really protects the employee. And if you as an employee bring up something or you talk about the wages and stuff like that, the court will favor you. So it's not like he said, she said. It's what you said. It's whatever you say, because as the employee, They're going to favor you over the employer. And the other thing is, I'm thinking of situations where we might, fall into this. So there's times we're on a job site and we're working, we go onto a job and we're with, some, a crew, and we have to figure out, okay, who's who, like who's the tech, who's the foreman, like who are the journeymen, who are the apprentices. And you shouldn't be scared to ask, okay, hey Johnny, are you the foreman? Are you a tech? Because you're laying out work for me, so I'm assuming you're the tech, right? You shouldn't be scared to ask that question because, he's a tech, he gets paid more than you, so they can use that as a reason that, you're asking about a wage difference, and then it's protected. It's a protected act. And it's good to know who is the foreman or who is the tech on the job, so that you don't have a fellow installer, a fellow journeyman trying to tell you what to do on the job. Also, we have, there was a local in our district who added another classification. The sound and comm, God, I don't remember what it's called. So we have installer, right? But they made another classification below that just for their, it started at, I'll just tell you which local it was. It was 340 Sacramento. And this person or this classification makes far less than what an installer makes, and can only do a few. They're only allowed to do certain tasks. But it starts in Sacramento. But how we can work, throughout different districts or different locals, I should say, jurisdictions. If someone from 340 comes to my local 332 and they're coming in as that new classification, and it's good for me to know exactly, as a 332 hand, and it's my home local, to make sure everyone who's traveling in is, know what the classification is, know what their pay should be. So if this new classification coming in, the sound and comm, God, I wish I remember what they called it. Okay, I think, communication worker. I want to say that's what they called it, communication worker. If they're a communication worker, I want to know. So then I'll make sure they don't do the stuff they're not supposed to be doing, and then two, they shouldn't be making a different wage than what it says in that. It was an MOU, I think, that was created for that classification. So real quickly, let me check in with Luis. Luis is gone, and I know he just threw me a text. So looks like he's off. So just me and you guys for a little bit. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next one. So that, again, that was real quick. That was SB 497. So another law that came into effect is minimum wage. Minimum wage has increased for this year to $16 an hour. And that started January 1st. There's other types of workers, like I think it was fast food workers who were going to get a certain increase to like $20 an hour later on in the year, and also like healthcare workers and stuff like that. But the minimum wage for everybody increased to $16 an hour starting January 1st. And I didn't want to make a note that, in case you have a loved one who works under minimum wage, that many municipalities, like different counties, have a higher minimum wage. So it all depends. If some people are working remotely, because a lot of us live, especially where housing is cheaper, it all depends, that our employers have to make sure that they need to make sure that that applies to the appropriate minimum wage based on where the employees are performing their duties. So not where they work or where they live, I should say, but where they're working, where they're doing the duties. So even if they're, say, their business in San Francisco, but they live in Sacramento, they're going to get paid the minimum wage of San Francisco, not of Sacramento. And it's kind of funny because we kind of have this kind of issue with us. We have this issue with us because we travel, again, throughout different locals. Every local has a different pay rate, and sometimes we're wondering, okay, what do I get paid? I'm from local 332, but I'm getting asked to go work in Sacramento. So am I supposed to get Sacramento wage, or am I still getting my wage, my 332 wage, which is higher? And my answer to that is, you make what you what local you're from, whatever your home local is, you get that rate regardless. You can go up, but you can't go down. And but there are companies who will try to get you that Sacramento rate because they're gonna say, "Oh, that's the work is getting performed there, so you're gonna get their rate." And in actuality, they're kind of right, right? Because you there's nothing in the contract stating otherwise. But I tell people, well, who in their right mind will go travel far and get just to get paid less?
For
Like
less money, yeah.
that doesn't make sense. Like why would I do that? And then so the companies try because especially if we're desperate to work, if for those that are desperate or we're trying to move up the ladder, they'll do it. And
Yeah,
but
it's
for
the
the
whole
but
it's that whole
I need this job.
you know?
I don't want to
Yeah,
ruffle any feathers. I need this
yeah,
job.
yeah,
But
I don't want to piss nobody off.
you're making it hard on yourself, you're making it hard on your family, and you're making it hard on the other workers, your other brothers and sisters who don't
yeah,
want to do that traveling and working for less. So you
yeah,
gotta make a stand, you gotta make a stand at some point, and that's a good thing to make a stand for, not getting paid less. So
yeah, and that's one of the things too, like, Imma try to be a better host, try to be less militant, you know what I mean? But, I mean, it's true, like, it's true, we can't just roll over, man, just 'cause you need
yeah.
hours. Cause you know what?
Hmm.
I've seen it time and time again. The guy who rolls over and fills his trunk up with tools and prints and their own personal iPad and, their little wheels, the little pulling wheels
Hmm.
and when the shops don't need them no more, they just sit them down, and they're spinning their wheels, crying, talking about why, you know what I mean? Like,
Why don't they use me anymore? I thought they loved me. All I want to do is make them money. And now they sit me at home.
That voice is hella funny, dude.
it's surprising. It's like you don't get it, like, you don't get what's going on here. You're the mule. You're not important.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
the you're the yes man. But anyways, yeah, and I'm sorry, sis, for dropping out like that. Comcast is tripping. Comcast is
It's
tripping.
alright. Yeah, don't worry. I took care
Um,
of things while you're gone.
yeah, I know. That's why I fucks with you. But like, you know, I had a point that I was gonna make. Is were you able to? Did we touch on what this means for us monetarily in negotiations?
No,
Okay,
not yet.
that's a good thing to bring up too. This is
Mhm.
good to bring up in negotiations too, man. People flipping burgers for $25 an hour. That's half of what we make,
Mhm.
right? Just saying. And you know, I lost my page, but there's one that says for medical workers too, right? Is that
Yeah,
the one?
medical
Yeah.
workers, they get an increase, later in the year as well.
Mhm.
And, I was telling Luis, like, there's so many people that I hear saying, like, "What? They're just, like, they're fast food workers. They don't deserve to make that much money. All they do is flip burgers," like we were saying, like,
Yeah,
but they don't see the big picture. It's like, okay, they're the bottom, right? In terms of pay and conditions and stuff like that. And if they move up, so does everybody else, including us. So we
exactly.
should be happy that they're getting paid more because then, yeah, like you're saying, it helps us negotiations. Like, hey, healthcare workers, um, restaurant workers, fast food workers, they're making this now.
Yeah,
They jumped this much this year, so we should see something better as well.
exactly. And on top of that, I would venture to say that, we have to allocate to our own health and welfare.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, how much a Kaiser medical assistant makes directly affects how much money they're gonna need from us come 2025, 26, 27.
Yes. Yep.
It's another point to make in like, it's another point to make as a cost of living because that's healthcare is cost of living, right?
Mhm.
So it's like that's an obvious point. Maybe not for some, but now having been able to see the climate in the room and kinda getting a bird's eye view of the big picture, like me and Tessie have, it's really important. Really,
And
really important.
even if it's a win for a different classification, a different type of worker, we should be happy because we're all the labor force. We're all the working class. So a
Exactly.
win for one is a win for all. So we should just celebrate this for them. It's a win.
Exactly.
A win for
Amen to
labor.
that. Amen to that. Get your money, ladies and gentlemen in scrubs. I didn't mean it like that. I swear to God. All right. So we got anything to add to that, guy? SB
Just like
606.
the last point I want to make when we're talking about getting paid where you're due for when you travel and stuff like that. Even though there's some things that may not be in our contract, like you know what either getting paid where you work at or getting paid at where your home local is. Even though it's not written in the contract, it's up to us to make that condition. We still have a power, which is called people power, right? The worker
Mm-hmm.
power. And we can set our own conditions. It doesn't have to be in the contract, but as
Yeah.
long as we all follow it and we create that trend and everyone sticks to it, that's what's going to be the norm.
Yeah.
So as long as if someone were to call me and tell me to work at Sacramento at their wage and I say no, no, thank you. I'm 332. I make this amount. Okay, if you can't pay me that, sorry. And then send somebody else. Especially
Yeah.
get someone who actually lives or works at that local
Exactly.
to
Go
get
grab
that
someone out
money.
the hall out there.
Yeah, make a call. Put some calls out in the hall.
Yeah.
And so what happens if I say no, and the person behind me says no, and the person behind me says no? It's not going to happen. That job's not going to happen. So what
Mm-hmm.
does the employer have to do? They have to pay us what we want to get paid
Exactly.
if they want workers out of that job. And I know Sacramento has put out a bunch of calls, and there's not a lot of people taking them.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? They're going to have to attract workers. They're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
increase somewhere, whether it's wage, condition, something. They're going to have to attract the workers.
Yep.
So it helps us if we take a stand. That's all I wanted to say.
Nice.
I want to add
Exactly.
to that.
And you know what? I've never worked in 340 and made 340 wages.
Mhm.
So,
Nope.
and to Tessie's point, I know a place called Wiley Coyote Electric that openly tells people we don't pay travel. And guess
Mhm.
who created that condition? The workers,
Mhm.
the regulars that are there.
Mhm.
So, shout out to them for undercutting us. So, moving on.
All right. So is that Missy? Oh, I
Yes.
think the next one is the honorable mention.
Yeah. So we went from so the next honorable mentions are SB4, right? It removes regulatory barriers to allow churches, religious organizations, and nonprofit colleges to build affordable housing on their properties, right? Now, what does that got to do with us? Well, a lot of times we're in an alliance with the UC system, right? The Cal State system, right? Places like that. So we have to be careful to pay attention because they're gonna build these places. Someone's got to build it. Who better than us?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
since we're in an alliance with them, but they have to. Since we're in an alliance with them, they got to come to. Well, they don't have to, but they usually come to us, signatory contractors, to do that work. Now, if they're really serious about it, then they're gonna get after it. If we're really serious about working, we got to pay attention to what those alliances are, which means your MEPS reps, your building trades council, your labor council delegates, and all that stuff. We have to know who they are. They have to know who we are, right? Because I think the easiest thing I ever did was introduce myself to people, and it made my trade real, right? PLAs sometimes we're going out and not getting maintenance, so we go in there and install everything, and then microbiz maintains the whole system for years. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work that went to non-union for maintaining a system. Work that could have been done by us. So that's why I preach that us being busy is partly our responsibility as well.
Mhm. So I mean, I've noticed a trend in the recent years with our city council and everything. They're like allowing more, or they're being more lax on other projects, on improving projects. And I'm thinking of like ADUs. I see those everywhere now. Before they were strict on allowing you to build onto your home or build onto your private land. And this one's for churches, right? They're churches' land. And I see them being more lax with like the parking regulations and stuff like that. Like they want a certain amount of parking for these new projects, especially if they're like high rises where they have high occupancy and stuff like that. But they're really, really getting lax because of our need for housing and our lack of it. So, someone again, we're gonna be building lot of that stuff's gonna be narrow and tall, right? Because we're running
Mm-hmm.
out of land. So we gotta keep track and be on it when all these new laws are getting passed with allowing building permits to go to happen for things that they weren't allowed for before and stuff, and making sure that we get a piece of that. Make sure union labor is getting going to be part of that. And a lot of these residential, like our trend is where we have these buildings that are like half commercial and half residential, where the commercial's on the bottom and residential's on top. There's gonna be a lot of that. So we have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure we tap into that and make sure that we're getting those jobs and staying top of city council and making sure they're using union labor as a requirement when they subsidize for these projects. And that's a matter of us being at these meetings, these city council meetings, getting involved with MEPS, which you brought up. I heard you bring up MEPS representatives, and MEPS, if for those that don't know, it's like a coalition of the trades, different trades, with M standing for mechanical, E for electrical, P for plumbers, and S for the sprinkler fitters. And together we're trying to work together to make sure that projects, especially those that are getting subsidized with taxpayer dollars, are using union labor or at least paying workers at prevailing wage, because that's part of us protecting our work and protecting our pay and protecting our working conditions by making sure projects that are in our areas where we live are using workers that are getting paid the prevailing wage, which is prevailing wage is our wage. It's the union wage.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right. That's right. And just let's keep it real, man. MEPS is basically the most powerful unions in the area.
yes,
I
the
mean, let's
most
keep it
powerful,
real.
the
Yeah,
stronger ones, yeah, for
the
sure.
stronger
The
ones.
long, the larger ones. We're the
Yeah,
larger ones.
yeah.
So if we
So
come together,
yeah, they
we
come
can
together and
we're a bigger
things can
force
get
that
done.
way. Yeah.
Exactly. What's that old African proverb? You want to get somewhere fast, you go alone. You want to get far, you go together.
Yep.
And that's what the labor council is. That's what the building trades council is. That's what MEPS is. It's
Mhm.
cooperation. So we
Mhm.
need y'all's cooperation.
I
Now,
know we're
how
just,
bad
we're
how
just
bad can it get if we don't pay attention, sis?
how bad can it get? Well,
Yeah.
if we don't care enough to pay attention to what's happening in the city council and these bills that are getting passed, then we're gonna get ignored. Where our power is gonna go down. We're not gonna have work because they're gonna want to go for what's cheaper. Everyone's always want to go for what's cheaper, right? And union labor is not cheap, but
Yeah.
we pride ourselves in being good, right? We're trained.
The best.
We have as of right now, we have a lot of members, so we can do those big projects. We have enough workers to build those projects. So we just got to stay relevant and stay on top of our leaders who are in charge of, the building projects in our jurisdictions. And
Yeah, can you
you
give
know,
us, like, an example of how bad it can get? Like, I know there was a situation down in your hood.
well, yeah. So there was a yeah. If those that are in 332 remember a few years back, I don't. There was we had a picket. And we picketed a project at Silvery Towers in downtown San Jose because they were using union labor. So we picketed that job for a few days. Oh God, it was like had to be at least 6 years ago because I was pregnant with Lucas at that time, so it had to be
Mm,
about 6 years back. And if what happened with that job, it got delayed, and then the contractors got caught up because they were doing wage theft on the workers there, and it was so bad. They got caught like housing their workers in connexes,
In
and
the
they had
connexes?
pictures of it, and they put it in the newspaper showing like this is where they're living. This is where the contractors are having them live. They're transferring these workers from Mexico, having them live in the connexes, and they're not paying them on time. They had their like months worth of pay being withheld from them. So it was all in the news, and it showed that at the end of it, they got charged. The contractors got charged, and then the workers got paid like they got like $1 million paychecks or whatever. What like the company got they had to pay a lot. So because they withheld a lot of money from their workers. It's
Yeah.
like 3 million altogether. And they had to pay all of the individual.
Wow. Yeah, it reminds me of a situation in the city. It was a hotel along the Embarcadero.
Mm,
They were, I don't know if they were shipping these guys in from Mexico, but they had workers and their families, children,
mm,
living in half-built rooms.
mm,
There
mhm.
was kids cleaning up trash on the job sites. It was crazy. And this is how things can degenerate,
Yeah, they'll
right?
bring in
And
ship-in workers
yeah,
that
right
get
along the water line.
they get
Right
paid
along
less.
the water line, San Francisco, man. The
Yeah,
face of the city, right? It was right down here, like, right over here somewhere, right over there.
and
Yeah,
you'll
that's
see
how
you'll
bad things can get.
see a lot of worker exploitation,
Yeah.
right?
Hell yeah. I mean, I used to get my hair cut down on Linden in the south end of the city, and, they redid the whole street. They're doing the pavement. This is this is like, 15 years ago. It's been that
Mm.
long since I had hair. But, they're doing all the pavement down there. Not one of those dudes. Not only were they not from the Bay Area, they weren't from California. These were migrant workers brought in to Arizona paving the
Mhm.
street. Yeah, it was they're making Arizona wages, and the minimum Arizona wage was probably dismal at back then, it was, pretty damn ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's more like 10 years ago, but still, it was nasty. It was horrible, and it was just like, to a dude, that had my mentality 10, 12 years ago, to be disgusting to a guy like me who I was then is, like, egregious, right? Because I never this kinda woke me up to the whole worker plot and plight and all that good stuff, but
Yeah, so to kind of answer your question just blatantly, like what will happen if we do nothing? We will lose work. Our pay will diminish. Our conditions will diminish. Like, because you're racing to the bottom versus racing to the top. So
exactly.
everything will just get worse if we don't pay attention. And if we could, if we be complacent, or if we have members that are just freeloading,
Mhm.
it does not help us. And so that's what I mean. That's what the reality is. If you guys want to not care and not be a part of this union that you sign up for, and you're enjoying the paying wages of and the conditions of, do nothing, and this won't stay. It won't stay for those that come after us. And it's not going to last. And if you want us to keep getting better conditions, better wage, we got to keep track of and pay attention to the laws and to the lawmakers and people that we vote for and the projects that are trying to get passed. Like, we got to be there when they discuss these projects.
Amen.
Um, I mean, just simple as that. Um, you
And you
know,
got and you gotta be, on people because like I said, man, the whole maintenance thing, you got project labor agreements that agree to installations, but not maintenance,
yeah,
not
yep.
do maintenance. I've been used as a service tech a plethora of times, and I can tell you right now, man, that'll fill up a whole month.
Hmm.
Service calls. It's like, replace batteries at this and this place, troubleshoot a camera over here, and it's not even, like, really hard, but it's hours. It's a lot of hours that we're passing up. A lot of
and
money
then
we're leaving on the table.
And another way it kinda, like, affects us or in our communities too, like, I live in a community that's is HOA,
Mhm.
and we starting to have homes that are, getting rented out to contractors are renting out these homes and housing their workers there. So you'll know which ones are rental homes because you'll see tons of trucks and a big mess in the front because they have all their tools and crap materials out there, and it's
All
just
their
an
boots.
it's eyesore. I'm in the HOA community. I'm on the HOA board, and I we're in charge of making sure our communities look good. And like when these people move in or renting these homes, it's like, oh my god, like we hate it because they just like take up all the whole space. They park everywhere, take our parking. It's like, so annoying.
Yeah,
And I know what they are. I know who they, I know they got shipped in from like say Arizona, from Nevada or whatever, and coming in to do work in our area for cheaper.
yeah, yeah.
So
All
yeah.
right. So yeah, it can get pretty bad. We're not trying to create a doom loop here, but we
No.
just kind of, we trying to like inform you guys of how bad it can get, how ugly things can
Mhm.
get, and especially now when there's a lot of people sitting, right?
Yes.
And before you start arguing about,
But there's always people that sit. Only the good guys are working.
there's enough work out here for everyone to work.
Yeah, and another
As
thing that kind of I see happening, or what's going to hurt us, is if we lose members because they're not working in our, they're in our union, they're not working, so and they need to make money, right, for their families, which is understandable. But then they go and say, I guess I'll go work non-union until things pick up again,
yeah,
which is a big no-no, right? If you get caught working non-union, you can get kicked out.
massive.
But, you try anyways, but then our labor force, our union labor force is moving to the non-union, and that's gonna hurt our union, a lot because, 1, we're losing members, and, 2, our talent is going over there, and so, we have market share and everything, we have a good pool of workers, but then if they start moving elsewhere, we're gonna lose our strength, right?
Yeah.
Our strength is in our numbers and in our
Mhm.
talent, so
Yeah.
it's not good for us.
And
Yep.
before anybody wants to go try the inside wireman just because it isn't busy and sound and calm, not that I'm trying to dissuade you from, moving over there, but they have the same issues we do. So that's not always the solution. And, going to the non-union, I mean, let's touch on that for a second because honestly, I don't wanna hold anyone back from feeding their families, right?
No.
There's worse things that can happen, like, I don't know, being the PM's lapdog or snitch. Um, I don't like that term, but, you know, you gotta feed your family, and this is the only trade we know, right? So, I don't know, the last recession was pre us. So I'd be curious to know, did the same thing happen then, right? In the
Mm,
'08
yeah.
recession, and then the dot-com bust, did that happen then again too,
Mhm.
right? Because I do hear people going to the non-union, quitting the union and all that good stuff. I know a lot of people weren't gonna share with me that they actually went non-union as an active member because they know what I'm about, but I know people have cashed in their retirements and, went to
Mhm.
go scab it out.
Now,
Um,
there's a pathway, right, you can do where you can work in the non-union, but do it in a way that helps your union, which is, I forget what's the term for it. What are they called?
it's
When you
called
can
salting.
salting! Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
I'm glad
called
you remember.
salting.
So you can
Um,
salt, and that way you're still in good terms with the union, and you're helping out your fellow, brothers and sisters, because you're gonna what salting is you get take a job non-union, and you talk to the workers, hey, this is how much you make at the union, this is what how much money you can make, this is you kind of fill them in, because when people who work non-union, they don't know, they get told misinformation from the contractors, right?
oh yeah. Hell yeah.
So they're
Not
scared,
even the
like,
contractor.
oh my god, they're gonna take all these fees, away, all these dues out
Yeah,
of
they
my
can take half
check.
my check,
Yeah, like, oh my god, like, so that, and because there's a
but
lot of union busting. There's a lot of union busting that happens in those non-union sectors.
for
So
real.
when you salt, you tell them the truth. You tell them, no, this is what it actually is. I was there. I
Yeah,
came here because they had, we were a little slow, but this is what you can get if you go union. And then you can try to get people to come over to the union, or you can get whole shops to unionize,
yep,
and that would be great for for all of us. And
hell yeah. And
so
then and then you're
that's
the
why.
guy that did it, right?
Mhm.
And then you're the guy or gal that did that. So
Yeah.
not only do you become you create a relationship with the hall, then they know you're a reliable dude. But now salting it's a slippery slope because there's legal attonations with that. So you guys might want to we might want to talk to a business manager about salting and what that
Mhm.
requires, right? And
Mhm.
what is permissible and what ain't.
Yeah, it's not something you do informally. You actually go to your hall and you tell
Yeah,
them you're interested in it, and they give you all the information and they guide you through it. So
yeah,
that's who you go to if you're interested in, and if you need to work and you can't, if you're not getting enough work here at the moment, you can try doing salting, which will, again, it helps the union and then it keeps your family fed.
yeah,
Otherwise, dude, I mean, working on union, I'm sure they wouldn't make as much money, or they wouldn't get as good conditions as they were union. How about try going to some other job that's not related to our industry? That, I mean, the minimum wage just went up, right? $16 an hour.
yeah,
Uh, Even the fast food places are getting 20 some bucks, $21 an hour or whatever, $24 an hour. Not too bad to do something like that just in the meantime
yeah.
until work picks up. I mean, I know people who, they took other jobs working at, the bookstore or something
The guy that
until
sells me my boots at Red Wing,
Safeway,
he's a tin
grocery
knocker.
store. Yeah, the
He's a union tin knocker. I love
so
giving him
yeah.
shit. He never does my boots right.
If you do a job with outside the industry, you're fine. You're
Yeah,
okay. You're good to do that. It's
yeah,
just
man.
when it's in the industry and you're doing non-union that you can get, in trouble, and does not help the
Exactly.
rest of us. So
Anything with our scope will work. So if you're putting up, if you're if you're fixing computers, it's not in our scope.
yeah.
If you're repairing cameras, could be a gray area because we install them, but we don't repair them, right?
hmm
If you are like a, I don't know, amateur software engineer, right? That's not part of us either, right?
So
Now,
there's
if you offer to
other
program
options.
security systems on the side, that's in our scope. You might want to be careful about doing that. But like I said, there's bigger, there's a bigger picture there. So if you're gonna salt, and you know what, I'm gonna talk to the people that are just gonna do it anyways, right? I'm talking to y'all right now.
Okay, well, I did that. I'm gonna step out for a second to go
Okay,
check on my baby.
all
So
right.
I'll be back.
So if you guys are gonna go out and go non-union, right, and go work at a non-union shop around non-union people, don't go telling lies about about our thing, right? Tell the truth, right? Give them the pros and the cons of it because there is, man. And there's people that ain't cut out for this. Being in a union requires a little bit of assertiveness, a little bit of backbone as a man or a woman, right? Um, and be careful who you speak to because there are people that'll act interested. But some of the rumors that I've heard from non-union people um, is that, oh yeah, once the union takes over your company, they're gonna send you somewhere else, take your job, which of course you guys know that's a myth. But another one is, oh yeah, no, they're gonna charge you half your paycheck. You gotta pay $12,000 to get in. I don't know where that number came from, but you gotta pay $12,000 just to get in. If you're not in 30 days, and they kick you out and they put some other guy in your spot. Um, you can't decide when you take lunch, which is kind of true because it's up to the foreman. But things of that nature. Tread carefully, do your job well, and don't teach nobody, man. Remember that if you're gonna go non-union, which I do not condone at all. I actually think y'all shouldn't do that. But if you're gonna do it, don't be showing them our trade secrets or the way we do things. Um, just kind of keep your head low and keep checking. I don't know. I don't know how far I can go with this without getting myself in trouble. But there's some of y'all that are gonna do it. If you're gonna do it right. Don't go in there smutting up the union and then come running back to the hall to take a call. You know what I mean? Let them know what's on the other side of that fence. Let them know the good, the bad, the ugly, and the righteous. You know what I mean? No system is perfect. So be sure to explain that shit to them too. So on to the next honorable mention. So we're looking at AB 636, right? So AB 636, the shop's got to give you employers info like payday. I'm gonna say it again. Payday. business address, names, etc. Right now, why? Why is this even got to do anything with us? AB 636, right? So, as you guys should know by now, paydays are on Wednesday now.
Hmm.
Now, it can't be enforced until May 31st of 2024, but
Oh, we had to
it
give them
is what
some
it is.
time. We had to give them some time because it took no. It's hard to change your payday
Yeah,
from
it's so
Friday to
hard.
Wednesday.
Anyways, um so they have a little bit of time, but now, all you Friday payday companies got to explain to your employees. They need to explain to us what the shop name is, what aliases they go under, right? What where the business is,
Their address.
their address. And if that address don't match up with the letter of assent, you got a case there. It's for our travel, right? Um,
But Luis, they don't pay travel.
they don't pay travel unless we say they do. So you get on that thing and expose anyone who you have to and get that travel pay. There are shops that didn't pay travel and openly said it, and now they have to, right? And which tells me that pretty soon we're going to come up with a form. We're going to revise that form on the forum for y'all to fill out and submit.
Hmm.
So hopefully that'll get done soon, and we can and y'all can have a way. We can have a unilateral way of doing this, because I ain't never been to a shop that actually has a system. Oh no, I've been to one. I've been to one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where they have an actual form for you to fill out to
yeah.
report your
The
travel and everything and turn it
yeah.
in and all your
the
receipts,
um
whatnot. Your
the ex furniture builders. That's all I'm gonna say. So those are our honorable mentions. You got something to add to that, sis?
no, just
636.
that information should be given to you when you onboard. So when you start with the shop, they should give all that information to you day one. And the best thing you can do is to make sure that matches up with what the contract says. Okay, I mean, my contract says I get paid Wednesday. That better say Wednesday on the form they give you when you onboard. So you just check, make sure everything's legit and following the contract. And yeah, now you have a physical address. They can't use multiple addresses. This is the one they give you, and this is the one, like you said, compare it to your letter of assent, and they should match. And that's it, and we're all good.
Yep.
You know, keep them on. You got to keep them in check. So
That's right. Keep their butts in check because they will try to play us. It's just a standard thing that they do. Don't take it
mm,
personal.
mm-mm.
They're gonna try to get over always, especially the butt heads that come in thinking that we're all just mules.
Yeah,
But it sounds like, oh, address names and names. So the reason we put names on there is because let's keep it real, y'all. There's a lot of double-breasted shops out there. There's a lot of Wile E. Coyote Electrics, and they have what Bugs Bunny Communications attached to them, right? So if they got to tell you that, now they have to tell you that, hey, so you're at Bugs Bunny Communications, aka Wile E. Coyote Electric, or maybe they got a fire alarm company that's, I don't know, TNT Electric, right? So, or AV company, right? Maybe they got a non-breasted shop out in LA. What are the possibilities there? So we are basically the first line of defense against abuses like this. So now they got to expose their hand, which is for me a very good move on California politicians to do. And that's all I got to say about that. We're coming up on an hour, sis.
yeah. So I think it's a good
How
time
did we
to.
do that? How do we
It
always do
always
that?
happens. Even though we try to make it short, it never happens.
Yeah.
We talk too much, I guess. I don't know.
I know, huh? This is a good outlet for us. We talk way too much. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Do I talk less on the job site now? Now that I'm on this podcast?
But hey, we have a lot of content, a lot of info, and just we want to discuss it, share it, so that you guys can take it with you and take it to your job sites and talk about it with your coworkers and stuff. And yeah.
Amen. And don't do no corny shit like, hey, guess what law? No, man. Hey, look, shit affects us. There's a big picture here, and I saw on the rewire that they said this. If you need help condensing it, we can go into it a little further and try to condense it for y'all. But all this is relevant to us, man. You got any closing words, sis?
No, it's our first episode back, and we gotta reiterate to our info. So here, if you guys need to contact us, you contact us at therewireD9@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube at therewireD9.
And we straightened out the issue with that, right? We can send it out and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yes, we can.
All right, for sure. So ask for a link. Have
Yep.
somebody ask for a link, and then we'll shoot it to y'all.
Yeah, if you want to see all our past episodes from season 1, yeah, it's just a matter of getting that link from us. You can email us, hey, can you send me that link? And then we'll send it to you, and you can see all our past episodes.
Hell to the yeah. So it's been a pleasure, y'all. I'm really glad that we're back. We're just people looking at pretty colors. So
yes.
Again, we're not experts. Contact your reps and your business managers for actual factual information. This is just kind of how we interpret what's going on around us right now. None of it's legal advice.
Yes, we're not the experts. We're just members just like you.
Rank and file.
Rank and file. Well, I hear my baby crying in the background, so let's end it here.
That's our cue.
All right. Come here, baby.
All right, y'all.
All right, guys, take care. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.